Hey, gather round and I'll tell you a story about Forklift Dance Works. It's a nice one, don't worry. It starts with some people who work dawn to dusk. They work for our city, but we don't notice them much. They pick up our trash, recycle our stuff, trim trees, and take care of the pools and such. But nobody saw them or noticed their skill until choreographers said, just dance and they will. At Forklift Dance Works, that's what our artists know, that we can co-create dances and put on a big show. Give to Forklift today and help us to tell the story of workers in our city as well. ForkliftDanceWorks.org for news and updates. Thanks for the support. You really are great.
Call 1-800.
I don't know what to watch. There's nothing good on.
Do you want to go out?
I'm tired.
Those before when we talk about our partying back or something, Need some. Yeah, if I can figure out how to do my telephone. Got how to do the telephone now.
MIKKOL.LEE 61052.
Damn, maybe I should have told Todd to just come on anyway. 30 minutes late.
Oh, he was. Oh,
No, she asked me, and I figured you're gonna be 30 minutes late, and I'll just come on next time, tomorrow, next Monday.
huh.
Or, yeah, I didn't know. I should have just told him to come on in anyway. I'm having all these.
The Texas legislature will be in session. Do you expect any legislation that might affect JPs? You must have an answer for that. Travis County is considering adding public defender office. Is it a good idea, and how will this impact the justice court? Travis County Tax Office has been engulfed in a corruption scandal. Are there any lessons to be learned by other government officials?
I got him.
Bruce Elfont used to be a JP. There's a legitimate connection.
Actually,
JP race,
I need a
partisan race, whereas the mayor's race is
tissue.
not.
Let me email him to.
From the start of your
I
campaign,
can forward to.
by refusing money from lawyers who intend to practice in justice court, you challenged your opponent to follow the same standard. How has she responded? By losing. The debate over Supreme Court appointments has become increasingly politicized. The confirmation is a circus. You said you chose to run for JP.
Welcome.
Oh, yeah. Hello.
Welcome.
I don't think we're up yet. What's she saying there? It's a trailer park. What do you expect? We're in there playing with the buttons. Oh, okay. Go ahead. You're right.
Welcome to the Trailer Park Show. Wow. You know what? It's chilly outside
And wet.
and it's wet outside, but the temperature is beautiful and it.
Halloween moon.
Well, move that moon.
So anyway, I'm
Oh,
just
I see.
excited to be here today, and I'm excited for our audience, and I'm excited for our guests on the panel tonight. Up here tonight. So it's an exciting time. You know, I just want to touch base really quick about the recovery effort that's going on right now from Hurricane Michael, and you know, we just send. Well, yeah, we did. They did, huh?
Yeah,
You
okay,
were
look.
fierce too, Mike. You were fierce, blowing through there, tearing up stuff. So, but anyway, you know, we our thoughts and our prayers. Well, you know, the show it's all about family up here. So you'll hear some interruptions, you'll hear some songs, you'll hear all kind of things on the Trailer Park Show. But we're just real people. That's who we are. So, but anyway, our thoughts and our prayers go out to the recovery efforts, go out to the governor of Florida, just all the people that are going through things. We're thinking about you, we're praying for you, and we're just hoping the best of everything that will happen. So anyway,
We ready?
I'm going to hand it over to Pokey.
Yeah, we've had some changes, as you can see. No Todd Phillips, but he will be by next week. What can I say? Sometimes it works out. We do got Mr. Martin. Hey!
Hi, Martin.
Because we really need to get you elected down there to Precinct 6.
I appreciate the opportunity to come today.
Well, we're going to hit you with some hardball questions this time. Would you like it or not? I know you've been running a good campaign.
I'd rather come before him as judge than some of them other ones.
Yeah, we used to go in front of JP's all the time. You know, and I used to be an outlaw truck driver.
I see.
And so when they give me a ticket for, you know, no seat belt, I always ride up in front of a JP for some reason.
The favorite one I have to read on this one.
All right, come on this one.
The favorite one
I
I
didn't-
had, JP Court.
Hold on, let me, it's English down here, and Mike, he's back.
And we know Mike. Mike
We
is
have a
here.
local judge in
Speak up.
Bastrop County. Because all he would
Oh.
ever do was say, how many days in jail is that?
I ain't paying.
I used to slide in the gallery. I used to slide like up under the chair like I'm not with him. Well, this judge actually took him for what he said. And she slammed him in jail. So
Okay.
he's in there in a jail cell with all these other people, and they're getting loud and rowdy. So
Uh-huh.
a little female guard comes by and says, y'all need to be quiet in there. Pokey opens up his mouth and says, why? What are you going to do? Put me in jail?
What is
Put
that?
up in solitary.
Put me in a drug tank, there's nobody in the middle of the day.
Wow. You better be on your best behavior.
No, it's, with overcrowded jails, you know, you get some truck driver in there with a butt flap too damn short. Was that out? I wouldn't leave till I made them feed me. Then they got smart and quit doing that. They
Well,
turn you back out, and then when they pull you over in your truck, now you got a warrant.
Well,
And
we're
that means
glad
they
you're
gotta
off the
impound your
road.
truck, so you got to pay off.
We're glad you're off the streets, Poke.
I don't know. Yeah, I am too, but it's
For
some
real.
damn cigarettes. I'd still be out there because you do miss it. I posted on Facebook. It's not it's a way of life, not a lifestyle.
Uh-huh.
And once you start driving them things, you get. I had a tandem axle, 28,000 pound rear, 12,000 pound front, Bendix air, Rockwell driveline.
Tell the audience, is you talking about a dump truck?
Yeah,
Okay, let them know you're.
yeah, 300 series, C series Cummins. Last in mechanical. After that, they started putting electronics stuff on it.
Yeah, I know.
And I wouldn't quit them cigarettes. Now I got a rubber hose up my nose, bifocal glasses, and plastic teeth. And I'm on a
Well.
trailer park show with Mr. Martin Harry. He's thinking, what the hell am I into?
Well, we better get on the road because we got a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do. Too much to talk about. We do have Ed English down here. He's always got something really worth to talk about. But I did want to ask some things of Mr. Martin here. What was it? That one. Well, I done lost you now. See, I can't do my telephone like I can my
Well,
computer.
we come back.
I can give
You got it.
Update on a couple of things. while
Come
we're
on,
Saturday.
come on, Ed. Update us. Update us.
Well, I've been very, very busy for quite a few weeks now, and working on promoting or for passage the two citizen initiatives that are on the ballot for the city of Austin. That's Prop J and Prop K.
Mm-hmm.
And
What are they?
Prop J is basically voting on your right to vote on the next land use code rewrite.
Mm.
I think we all probably heard the term code next once or twice. I heard it a lot more than that.
No, this is
Code
idea,
Next,
Austin.
Code Next did not die. They just put it on the shelf,
Oh.
and I expect probably sometime after the first of the year it'll come back, maybe with a little slightly different approach and a different name. But
Mm-hmm.
the whole idea behind the petition, which is now on the ballot as J, was to give citizens a right to vote on the package whenever it happens, whatever they call it, so that we don't end up in the same position we were in for almost 4 years with Code Next. And
A lot of wasted time and money.
that was the end result.
Mm-hmm.
And also working on Prop K, and K is also on the ballot by citizen initiative, by petition, and it would require the city to utilize an outside auditing firm to come in and do an efficiency audit on the city of Austin. And the whole idea there is to make sure that we are getting the best bang for our buck.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm solidly behind that. I'm going to take a break here, and I'll elaborate.
Yeah, that almost scares me because the way the city is now, we're getting the best bang for our buck, and then they come up with a bond or raise your taxes or.
Well, Pokey, if we can find, and I don't want to get into too much down in the weeds here, too many details at the moment, but these audits have been very successful dozens and dozens of times across the country, and if we can save a mere 1%, normally the savings available is much higher than that, but we'll set the bar at 1%. If we can save 1% of next year's budget is $4.1 billion. 1% of that is $41 million. And there's a lot of things that we
That's
can
good
do.
math right there.
You can do a lot of things with $41 million, including holding the line on future tax increases, which is what you
Giving
just
that
referred
money back to every property owner in Austin,
Well.
that would be, I don't know, that'd still be probably
So, Ed,
$100 each.
on the ballot, we want to make for sure that a lot of times when I want to know if J and K, these propositions, are they going to be anywhere close to any bonds? Is there any
They
bonds?
Actually, we're not thrilled that they're the last two items on the ballot.
Okay.
But they are below the bonds. The bonds occupy the first slots in the nonpartisan city issues that people are going to vote on. There's two charter amendments. They're very down in the weeds as far as changes in charter language. But the last two things on the ballot will be J and K. So if you're trying to remember where they are, just think go to the bottom.
Go to the bottom.
Go to the bottom for J and K. The last two items.
Go to the bottom. Sink on that other stuff. Don't touch that other stuff. Just go on down to the bottom.
No, I want to encourage you to vote on everything.
Oh, yay and nay. Well,
J and K are at the bottom.
J and K is yay.
Vote
J and K is
everything all the
yay.
way down.
But even if you vote straight ballot, you're going to have to go to the bottom of the ballot.
That's correct, because it's a nonpartisan issue, so there's no straight ticket voting. And the city council and the mayoral race also nonpartisan, so there are a number of things on the ballot that you would not be voting on if you went straight ticket and quit at that point. So you do want to get to those nonpartisan items.
yes, we do. Okay, so I'll remember. Go all the way down to the bottom. Go all the way down to the bottom.
And
To
I'm
J and K.
I'm sensitive to that because I'm pretty near the bottom myself.
Okay, okay, Martin.
Mr. Martin Harry, anything to throw in there, Mr. Lee?
I want to ask Mr. Harry a couple of questions, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's start off. Hit him up.
About the JP position itself. What's the jurisdiction of the JP court now?
The jurisdiction?
What jurisdiction do we have?
It has a civil jurisdiction and criminal jurisdiction. Civil cases is up to $10,000.
Up to 10,000?
And that's something that I am thinking that the legislature might address next session. They may last session, I think it was last session, they considered a bill that increased it to 20,000. It passed the Senate, but it did not make it through the House before the end of the session.
JP is required to be lawyers yet?
No, sir.
They still haven't changed that?
No, I don't believe so.
That's a good thing.
They got the Judge Roy Bean law going on.
Well, that's good though, Mike.
What's that?
That, you know.
Well, the one thing that
I think it's
I
good.
don't know. You are a lawyer, though,
I
right?
am a lawyer, and so is my opponent. And
I
I
don't think it's required, though.
Right.
No, it's not. But I think it's becoming somewhat customary for candidates to be lawyers. I've talked about qualifications in this race quite a bit, and because I believe I'm the best qualified candidate between the two of us.
And why is that?
Well, I can go through the scenario. Qualifications to me is not just about our skills as lawyers, but also ethics, integrity, and temperament. And I believe in each of those categories, I have the higher qualifications than my opponent. I've practiced law for about 3 times as long as my opponent, but it's not just the length of experience that gives me an advantage; it's the breadth and depth of experience that goes along with that. I've practiced I practiced civil law, criminal law in justice courts, county courts, federal courts, and even military courts. I've not only defended criminal defendants, I've prosecuted them. I've litigated in trial courts and appellate courts. In addition to representing and advocating for thousands of clients, I've served in more executive type positions. And as an owner of a law firm, I started as a solo practitioner with 1 office and grew that firm into a firm with 6 attorneys and 10 offices. And in the military, I served in executive positions. I was an acting officer in charge for 1 office for a period of time, and then I served as a staff judge advocate at the naval base in Japan. So I believe I have experience that my opponent does, and she's primarily served the last 10 years working for a public institution, not as a director, but as an assistant director with 2 other attorneys. And she's a salaried attorney, so she gets paid whatever she gets paid, regardless of the outcome of her cases. I worked where I was subject to competitive pressures of the competitive economy and had to strive every day to meet the expectations of clients and to serve them in a more efficient, effective way. As far as ethics, I'm the only candidate in this race who's abiding by a higher ethical standard by refusing to take money from lawyers and the law firms for which they work. My opponent has substantially funded her campaign with that money. And what's even worse is that she promised lawyers that if she's elected and they appear in her court, that they will get to go to the front of the line, get preferential treatment. And I believe that's fundamentally wrong for really 2 reasons. She's showing the lack of impartiality as required by the Texas Code of Judicial Conduct. And the reason why she said they get to go to the front of the line is because their time is more valuable. So she's discriminating between parties who are represented by an attorney and those who aren't.
Outlaw dump truck driver, he go right in the back of the line. He can wait all day, huh?
And that's her opinion, and that reason is also a violation because she's proposing to use her office to promote a private interest, the private interest that she's identified for attorneys, and you shouldn't do that. Also, my opponent has. Well, this is a judicial office, so it requires impartiality and political neutrality as a part of that. I am campaigning to protect this office from politics, and my opponent has promised to politicize it. She is going to use this office to promote her opposition to charter schools, which there's a lawful remedy for truancy that the legislature has authorized and that involves charter schools, a GED program. And she said that in no case will she use that remedy. So she's really prejudging those cases by making that announcement. And in this case, she's also promoting a private interest, in this case her own, because she's trying to further her own political interests by using the office in that fashion. So that's why I say I believe I'm the most qualified candidate in this race.
We believe you are too.
Yeah, I don't know why they're so hard against these charter schools. They don't seem to understand at all. People are fleeing AISD for a reason, and they don't have a clue what that reason is. It's so obvious to other people.
Yeah, well, these are charter schools. I mean, these are public schools.
Yeah.
And some of the schools actually help the high-risk students, and they're open enrollment schools, just like ISDs are.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my opinion, it's strictly trying to pander to political interest group to make that promise or pledge to voters. She's just pandering as a candidate, and I think it's unseemly for a judicial candidate to do that.
Who's the constable out there? Is that Ballesteros?
No, it's Stacy Suits,
Okay. Well, I know money flows through your office.
Precinct 3.
I know money flows through your office, and I'm thinking about just not long ago the Travis County Tax Office, as you know, had a little problem.
Well, it's been a very serious corruption scandal.
Yeah, I say a little problem, but
And that was, the grand jury in August issued a report which was really somewhat unusual in that they were tasked with determining whether or not to indict certain individuals, but they went further. They went beyond that and issued this report, and in effect indicted the Bruce Elfant, the tax assessor.
well, but Bruce Elfant.
And I use indictment generically, but they basically found that he was at fault for a lack of supervision, and which led to potentially a loss of about $1 million of tax dollars. And I think when you were talking about Proposition K, and
Okay.
and I'm thinking that this is evidence in support of Proposition K, because what happened was the county auditor investigated and found this wrongdoing that was going on. She found that they were, some of the satellite offices and the private offices that were contracting with the county were not following the law correctly, and potentially lost up to $1 million is estimated. And I'm thinking that, but for that audit, they may still be engaging in those same practices today. And I think, who knows what we'll find with the city. And it's not just the expenses, but perhaps problems with the revenue. There could be a loss of revenue that's discovered as well.
Oh, sure, that's part of the audit, and just to kind of sidebar on that, we are working very hard to educate the public on what this audit actually consists of, what it does do, and just as importantly, what it does not do. The opponents to Proposition K they're running some robocalls. They've also bought some advertising in the Chronicle, and I regret to say that they have lowered themselves to a lot of baseless fear-mongering to try and defeat this. There's been very few arguments made against the merits of the audit. It's simply that, again, I'll defer on the details until later if we have time, but they want to paint this as a conservative Republican conspiracy to, that term and worse has been used.
Because we want an audit, huh?
Because we'd like to make sure that our money is being well spent. There's a reason for that, and I'll explain that later. But the audit is designed to ensure that your money, your tax dollars, are being spent wisely. And one of the things that the opposition refuses to acknowledge, although we do it every time we get a chance, is that the city is not forced to do anything. The audit would produce a list of recommendations that the council can do with as they so choose, and any savings that are found, and there's obviously fraud would be another area that would be looked at, but any savings that could be found, the city council decides what to do with that. There are.
They're just going to spend it on something
So
stupid
there's
again.
no one above them.
More bicycle lanes.
There's all kinds of protections. I'm very familiar with the ordinance that would be passed, the full ordinance. There's a lot of protection built into it to prohibit and restrict and eliminate any kind of outside interference in this. But the opposition doesn't want to mention that.
Well, let me back this up just a minute here. In the individual JP offices, would you be willing to take an audit? Would that do any good on the other
I would
offices?
have no objection. I mean, the budget is established by the county commissioners court.
So you've already been audited if they're auditing the county commissioners, is that what you're saying? I was thinking each individual office
Well,
has their own accounting system or whatever you call it.
That's in terms of the budget. Now, as far as the justice of the peace is responsible for collecting fines and fees, and as a matter of fact, just similar with the tax assessor collector's office, I will have personal responsibility, personal liability for the fines and the fees that are collected. And I'm going to have to execute a bond to the county so that if I fail to properly account for money that is collected by my office, I could be personally liable if it's due to a failure.
Your financial dealings or whatever be subject to review by the county auditor?
I believe the county auditor would be have authority to conduct.
Have to have an outside auditor would be an audit on top of what the auditor's doing.
Sure.
I'm thinking your opponent with all their lawyer friends could be in a hog heaven here and all this.
Well, another thing back to Ed is that if they were transparent with the monies, it wouldn't be a problem for an audit.
Well, you have to ask yourself, what are they hiding? What's the worry? Frankly, a lot of the motivation that generated the opposition to Prop K comes from, and the root of their financing, those that are opposing Prop K, is coming from the City Employees Union. Now, I understand. I mean, I'm a human being, and I understand that people, when you bring the word audit up in even a private enterprise or a governmental entity, people kind of get nervous. But there's no reason for that because, again, the City Council determines what to do with the recommendations. And if they decide a recommendation isn't in line with the city's values, they can say, no, we don't want to use that one. The list of recommendations will probably be long, and the savings could be substantial, but it's entirely up to the City Council as to what to do with those. And if they decide in their infinite wisdom that they don't want to combine a department, that's their choice. They're not forced to do anything with this audit other than open up the books, let us have a look at how the money's being spent.
So the recommendation is just advisory only.
It is, and that's typical of most audits where you use an outside source, is they come in with a fresh set of eyes. They can do some things that the internal auditor, and we do have one in the city of Austin, do. They can do some things a little differently. They simply put together a list of recommendations. The city's not forced to accept them. Now, it would be a tragedy if the city were to turn all of those down, because we as taxpayers here are facing an exponentially increasing tax burden, and people are leaving the city because of it. And if they find savings, they could use them for parks, they could use them for public safety, they could use them for transportation, and they could use part of it to reduce the tax burden by taking that savings and using it to keep any future tax increase to a minimum, or possibly even skip it for a year or two, because the savings that would be generated are not one-time savings. When you're able to redefine how a program operates, well, these programs go on indefinitely, and these contracts are multi-year, so the savings extends over many years. It's not a one-shot savings. Thank you very much for elaborating on that, for setting me up for that. It's a great segue.
Oh, that is something else, though, because, well, will the public be able to see what the results are?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Then
You
I
will
think
have a chance to see where Austin's spending its money and how its contracts and the way it does business compare with other cities doing the same thing. I mean, my juices are flowing now, because I don't know if you saw this or not, but about a week and a half ago, when maybe it was last week, it's been so busy, I'm sorry, I lose track of
It's
exact
okay.
days. The city approved a contract for a single, meaning one, portable public toilet that would, if it runs the length of the contract, cost $775,000 to maintain. That's one portable.
A porta potty?
Yes. Now, this has got all.
I can do it for half price, I promise.
A porta potty.
Yes.
Do you know what the length of the term of the contract is?
I believe it's a year, and then there are some automatic extensions.
Holy shit.
Where is this porta potty going to be located?
It's portable. It's actually on a set of wheels, so they move it around.
Who need it?
Well,
Is the king coming?
I
mean, well, they can go out to the woods.
Put it down by the auction, it'll be a mess.
now look, I agree that it's nice to have that if you need it, but at some point you have to decide, is that cost effective? Are there other ways to provide that facility that are a whole lot cheaper?
Capital Kim can, they'll come put it out for you, pick it right up. And they'll do it for a quarter of that price.
Oh, I think this thing, as soon as you step in there, I believe it shines your shoes for you.
It's gotta be something. I'll stick with Capital Kid Cam for my dollar.
$3.8 million
Uh-huh.
to take a dump.
Capital Kid Cam can put you a dozen of them out there, but that much, and they'll be glad to.
And I raised,
This
I
is-
raised a bit of a stink on social media, and I think a couple of the council members picked up on it, because when they actually went to vote on this, Councilmember Tovo, I would swear she almost read my comments at the council meeting as to, and I really focused on, there is no documentation, how many people use this, you know, what impact okay, it's a
What's
public
the
safety.
what's the benefit?
Well, we're supposed to keep our water cleaner. We can allow the homeless to do their business someplace other than on the street.
Oh, that's for them?
Yeah, primarily, yes.
Primarily, yeah, it has to.
But
It's just one toilet.
it's one. A single-
Just one.
Just one.
Well, how can all?
It's a roving porta potty.
It's on a nice. I've seen it. It's on a beautiful little trailer, and they move it around downtown. Now, the long-term plan is that we install. There's no set number, but maybe 15 or 20 of these around downtown that will operate at a much lower cost per unit.
I knew
Mama
she'd
got
come.
coming in.
What?
Hey,
Oh,
We don't have
make it.
we don't have any data to make any decisions on as to whether
Yeah,
that's
they're
cost
right.
effective or not.
if
None.
one costs,
Alright,
careful, if one
Well,
costs
that's
$750,000,
okay,
how many
everybody
more
grab
could
a mic and
15
sit
more
down in
cost?
here.
I don't know, and neither does the city council, because they've not done. They
Huh?
don't have
What's that,
any
Mom?
data on what.
I
It's-
thought you were coming in here talking about the kid can. I mean, the portable toilet.
It's
Well, you
it's
need to sit
pitiful.
back for a
Ed.
minute. Don't worry about your
It's
mic.
pitiful. Somebody's gonna have to be responsible. There's no accountability.
If that doesn't make you want the city, an outside audit of
That
the
is taking
city,
their money.
I don't know
Yes.
what would.
Where's the accountability?
Stick that up in the front.
Where is the account? It's easy
No,
to
you
spend
need y'all for 30 minutes.
somebody else's money.
Put it in front of your legs.
I can do that.
Okay.
Okay, so we were talking about, hey Todd,
Hello.
it's easy for the government to spend somebody else's money. And what really bothers me is when there's no accountability. Number one, there's no fiscal
Hello?
responsibility. You just do whatever you want to do.
Well, and the mayor wants you to vote for $925 million worth of bonds, but don't take a look at the books. I don't know, I have a little problem with that concept.
That's a big problem.
I'm still stuck on the
He
toilet
should have a
right
big
here.
problem with it. You stuck on the toilet.
Don't you people know what Capital Kid Can is? They have great service. They'll put your toilet out there and pick it up. It's nothing.
Pokey.
All right,
Oh,
keep it
Lord.
loud.
They have the potties that they have out on the street. They're like little round cubicle things. Yeah, they got like these little round.
Where's this at?
Yeah.
In London, okay? So they have these like little round quarter cans that you put a quarter in or whatever it is over there, and the door opens up and you can use the restroom.
Mhm.
Well, let's say you're taking a little bit longer than usual.
You put some more change in there?
No, they don't have any place to put more change in there. The door will just open up and show you to the world. Yeah, we have this rich guy that works at the store, and he was telling me about the cans over there. Let's not
my
have those here,
God.
please. Let's not have those here.
Wow. Well, I tell you what. We're gonna take a minute away from the stink.
Mr. Tom
Okay,
Phillips.
I need you to introduce our guest.
Mr. Tom Phillips.
That just
Yeah, that's right.
Felt like the swimmer.
Phelps, not Phillips.
Mike
Again,
Phelps.
Paul. She's gonna hit me with a shoe here in a minute.
And so,
I thought my tongue was- Look at that.
Todd, let the public know what office you're running for.
They don't know
Yeah.
already.
I see it right there, but tell the people.
Mayor of Austin.
Somebody! Oh, we need somebody. Tell us all about you. A short little.
Well, I grew up
Would
in
you
Austin.
go for this $1 toilet?
Would you?
No, not at all. Not at all.
You know the story, I guess.
Yes, I do. The amount to clean
You,
it is
you know what
ridiculous.
Capital Kid Can is, right, company? Austin based.
No, I mean, I think the porta potty, you know, should be maybe one
Slide off the
thousandth
truck.
of the cost.
Yeah, put it back on the truck, move it wherever they want it. And it helps pay property tax for the company.
What?
Look,
I don't understand.
It's just that's just another. It's another Adler disaster in a long line of absurdities. And in addition to
Well,
other
this is
things,
really absurd. I can't help it. This is crazy. I mean, I'm stuck on this toilet now.
Get off that pot.
Need a lot of fire on the other end of the table.
Pokey, get off that pot, because Todd needs to
the
talk.
only crazy thing you're frustrated with is coming out of
Right.
No, but this is just. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay,
I
it's
think you
stupid as
have a
hell.
day in that
It's
pot
stupid.
fest for that.
No, this is just so obviously.
I think it speaks to the disconnect. I mean, the mayor promised a 20% homestead exemption, and it hasn't happened in the last 4 years. But he's coming up with other ways to spend money that are going to push more people out of
Of
Austin.
course. I guess they probably figure there's a few more people in Austin we need to get out of the way.
Exactly, and then you know, ask for another $250 million worth of affordable housing when you haven't developed what we have, and give away one of the best affordable housing sites
Well-
tax free with $250 million improvements to a stadium developer. That's what you should do, right? Not at all.
Ooh, don't start that
Maybe with
That
a
was
little,
satire, by the way.
one. Ooh,
maybe with a
ooh,
little
ooh.
luck, we're going to have a chance to reevaluate that because it looks like the Columbus Crew is staying in Columbus. So that deal, the original deal that we thought we had, we're in the process of building and agreeing on. That may be unraveled.
Thank you, Mr.
We
Coe.
may be starting that process.
Hopefully, but you heard what the mayor said, right? He said, "Oh, we're going to have a professional soccer team by 2020, regardless." So,
Well, that
he
remains.
wants to.
I know some people out collecting petition signatures that may have a different view.
Yeah, I think I might know some of those people as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, where's the petition? I need to sign it.
I do not have a copy of that because I've been so involved with J&K. I haven't had a chance to pick one up yet, but I signed it.
Okay, good.
Mike Lee, you got anything to in here?
No.
All right.
So we want to hear about Todd. We want to hear
Yeah, I
about.
can't get off this damn toilet.
Get off the toilet, Pokey. Get off the pot. What else you need to tell? That's what you need to tell the mayor. You need to tell the mayor. Use it or get
I
off the
used to
pot.
haul loads out there, but it's a big company. And I would haul loads out there where they would upscape their, the property, the commercial property. And this is a good company, hiring people right here in Austin, paying taxes right here in Austin.
hey,
Yeah, the city
Yeah,
does
that's
so
the
many
mayor,
ignorant
man.
things, like,
we'll
what's that
Well,
street?
it'll
Oh,
be a portalette on a flatbed.
Comes across, yeah, like you say, about 50 times as much as Capital Creek can do the same thing. I'm
Wow.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I grew up here and went to Hill Elementary, Hyde Park, and Texas. And 4 years ago, I ran for mayor because I was frustrated with friends that I grew up with that were getting pushed out of this town, and the disconnect at City Hall, also by the fact that they were preventing Uber and Lyft from coming into town to people on the council, and there was a crisis as far as getting the cab in this town, and so I jumped in, and the other thing I was frustrated with was the idea that they wanted to spend $1 billion and eventually $4 billion on a light rail transit system that was going to go on the feeder road of I-35 and do nothing for our road infrastructure. So I jumped in and I caught some traction. Guys like Gerald Gordy,
Yeah.
Jim Skaggs, and caught some support, and we did all right. And I got 10% of the vote on next to no money and fourth out of 8. And so I didn't think I was going to run again, but some folks came to me that very frustrated with the mayor, and they were support for me. So here I am in it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And, well, one thing I want to add is that I in the runoff, I did endorse the mayor, the lesser of the two evils, so to speak. And then I even, because I believed he was going to do the 20% homestead exemption, and I regret the fact that I did endorse him, and that's why I'm running now. But it's just a long line of broken promises, and the fact that he's very disingenuous with his approach, and he's not pro-business. Tax and spending.
Too busy traveling down to see the kids locked up at the border there and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's spending a lot of time on national issues that really the city has nothing to do with, and instead of addressing our affordability and tax crisis
Mhm.
and trying to protect our iconic businesses here, which he hasn't done for 4 years. One of the things we've come up with is a iconic
correct.
business protection and designation to provide rent relief through property tax relief to these businesses.
I like that idea. And lots of keep people like me involved, or make some rent, keep a rent house,
Exactly.
that you could give the property owner a break, if you rent to lower income people. I used to go to all these things I could get around better, all these forums for, like you say, city council and mayors, and the disconnect. It always seems odd to me that they never seem to talk about basic city services. And I try to ask a question about street and bridge, water, wastewater, solid waste, and this was none of their high priority. So what?
Not
You
to
know what I'm
mention
talking about?
Public safety.
Yeah, and we don't have a police contract.
Yeah. The fact that we've gone over 260 days, the better part of the year, without a police contract with the associations and national affairs. When you have associations from New York weighing in on what's happening here, it's embarrassing. And it really speaks to the culture from the mayor. It's an anti-police culture. It's playing to a national narrative. It doesn't support the officers. And it's really hurting morale, and as a result, the city's becoming more unsafe because of it. We're hemorrhaging officers. There's a few places that you need to spend money, but they want to spend money on all these needs instead of wants. And two of the places are public safety and roads.
Yes.
And
Skinny our roads and putting bicycle lanes in.
Well.
and another thing, in addition to that, I mean, not only is he alienating the police and they're leaving, so it's becoming more unsafe for that reason, but the fact that he's kind of created this environment, this culture that Austin is now a national magnet for a different version of homeless. We're not talking about Leslie, but a younger, more aggressive, drug-addicted group of vagabonds that are coming from out all over the country into the city, and it's camping in urban areas, wooded areas. That's why we're introducing an urban camping ban, a complete panhandling ban, because it doesn't do anybody any good to have folks in the intersection, and definitely want to move the arch out of downtown, because I used to work down there in college and different bars and stuff.
See it lately?
Well,
One block from the police station, and this place is unbelievable.
It is.
Why would you put these folks down in an area where it's complete drunkenness?
Yeah.
It's just, there's no reason for it, so I would like to move that outside of the city.
Well, you know, it's amazing when you talk about the homeless. They are way out on 620 in Lake Creek. They're underneath 45 now. I mean, they've traveled a distance, and they've set up house underneath 45 out there now. I hadn't been past there to see how much further they've come, but it's amazing. I mean, to see them, even, you know, down under Mopac and Howard Lane, they're under there. They've set up the house, and they've come out of the city limits, and they're just getting further and further.
You used to have a camping ban so that you didn't have to come to your business in front and have to run the bug off. After you've been throwing up and you got your customers waiting to come in. I'm getting away.
No, that's why we're introducing an urban camping ban, because there's
You
people
have
in
one.
the green belt in wooded areas. It's not safe. I mean, you saw the unfortunate tragedy of the young lady Erica Weiser that was killed on campus,
Mm-hmm.
and that guy came from out of the city.
Really?
Yeah, and just kind of wandering around campus, and
With his knife.
and then the tragedy happened, and then you recall there was that architect that was punched down in the entertainment district by a homeless guy, and then he fell back, had a hematoma, and died. And then what happened to Leslie? You know, some of the general older homeless folks, it's not safe for them either, because you know he was injured in some sort of scuffle. Yeah.
Everybody came from all over the nation to see. Listen. Well.
How about that?
Well, that wouldn't be a good
Well,
thing.
Houston gives folks bus tickets to come to Austin that are homeless. This is a fact. And yeah, I mean, they're trying to make it like Seattle, but I just, it's making our city very unsafe.
And unsanitary.
And I have a heart for the homeless. I've been out with Mobile Loaves and Fishes before I was a candidate, this whole thing. And their facility, what they're doing is great. And you know, there's no issue there. We need to do everything we can, but you can't just perpetuate the problem with bad policy, and that's what's happened.
Well, I think most of the people, a lot of the people homeless, they're homeless because they want to be homeless. Like you're saying, there's a new breed that's coming in, a new type of homeless people that are coming into this city.
Right.
They want to be free. They don't want to be. They don't want to be bothered with. Let me do my thing.
Yeah, it's younger,
And,
more drug addicted. We're not talking about families that
Mhm.
hit hard times kind of thing. We're not
You're
talking
right.
about people that are candidates for
Yes.
affordable housing. We're talking about people that don't want. I mean, there are people that the folks that want to. We
Mhm.
definitely need to provide vocational
Right.
training. I just think the facility needs to
Yes.
be in partnership with the state outside of the city.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what the arts was supposed to be. And these camps, there was one out in our house, in the Greenbelt there, and it's an environmental disaster on the Greenbelt. If you're speaking that way about homeless, not to push our show, but I don't have it on the calendar yet. The guy who writes that homeless newspaper, are you familiar with that? He's been around for a while. I've been in contact with him. And this other girl I know, she's done a lot of cleanup along the green belts. So we're working on a show about that. I presume you approve.
Well, which is good.
Homeless and the impact they have on the environmental green belts.
Well, you know, we really need
In
to
particular.
do something about
Well,
this
I've already got
because
been in contact with both. I just haven't put it on the
it's
calendar
awesome.
yet.
Well, you know, when you talk about Mike, you were like, what are we trying to do? Be like California? And we shouldn't. We shouldn't because there is such an epidemic there with the homeless, with hepatitis C, that it's out of control.
California used to be a really fine place. First time I went out there, everybody was hustling. There was jobs everywhere. There was business, industry, trucks everywhere. Trades stretched for miles. And anyway, I'm getting off to.
Well,
to
it's a lot.
I mean,
It's a lot.
Let's talk about what we're pushing our small businesses out of the city.
Mm.
It's the same sort of mentality. I mean, look at paid mandatory sick leave. Now, what does that do to our minority-owned restaurants? So, or all the restaurants. Yeah. So it's not helpful to the Asian community, the Hispanic community, or anybody that's in the restaurant business is not going to be able to afford to stay in business along with that. And then you couple that with the fact that if they don't get it coming soon in a few weeks, if they don't get everything in the compost bin,
Stay tuned. Next is going to be Mike Lee, right? Talking Mike Lee coming up next.
you're going to find them thousands of dollars a day.
If
No.
we don't
So with the
compost,
news,
compost,
zero waste, admirable goal. But when you require businesses to fill out a report ahead of time, and then if they don't get every piece of compost in the bin, they're going to fine them thousands of dollars daily. It's absurd. The anti-business, the regulation is so anti-business in this town. The mayor is systematically destroying small business.
Well, I would say, I mean, just those two last topics that you just spoke about, I think shows that when you subsidize something like homelessness, you get more of it. And when you punish something, you get less of it. And that's business. And that's what the city's policies are doing. They're encouraging more homelessness to homeless individuals, transients to locate in Austin with their policies. And they're driving businesses out by penalizing people who are starting businesses and running businesses.
It's like they just sit around and think, what can we do to make it cumbersome and almost
Yes.
impossible for small businesses to make it here, and then they try to take credit for what's happening at the state and national level for the economy. What's happening in this town with tech and everything else is in spite of the council.
Well, and I think you can really drive your point home by looking at how the city's approached Amazon, HQ2. We have a Chamber of Commerce that is essentially negotiating an incentive package completely behind closed doors. We still don't know what they're up to, what they're going to put on the table. And at the same time, I totally agree with you. I think that the policies the city has implemented for years now have made it increasingly difficult for small businesses to survive in this town. Yet we will bend over backwards for one of the wealthiest companies in the world. I'm not sure I'm ready to give away much to bring Amazon here, if they even should be here at all. I think we ought to focus more on the small businesses that built this town.
Exactly.
Capital Kim. They did.
You're right. Them and the rest of them, the softball, the soccer teams, you don't give them anything. Why? They have the money. You're coming here to an awesome place.
Well,
Why do we have to pay you to get here?
Austin is worth the price of admission.
Exactly.
We've got talented people here. We've got great resources. We've got a great natural environment. There's a lot of energy here. Companies should come here and pay their
Thank you.
freight to come here.
Thank you.
I'm not suggesting that I'm anti-growth or anti-Amazon.
No.
You come here, if you want to be part of this community, pay your fair share.
Thank you.
Make sure that you contribute something to the city. It's a two-way street.
You should say, what can I do? This is, excuse me, not what can I do. This is what I can do if you allow me to come in. All right, Poker.
Mr. Martin here and Mr. Phipps gets
Okay. I will yield.
Mr. Todd gets ready to say too. Yeah, because we can't go into that. We don't have enough time.
I know.
That's like Samsung. Besides Capital Kid Tan, there's also Viking Fence. Is another one I used to use for an example of a small business here in Austin. Which doesn't smell quite so bad. Capital Kid Tan, but they've been here forever. And Samsung, yeah, anyway.
Well, and I'm hoping that Mark can put up some things about how people can block walk for you, with you, just get involved in your campaigns. Those that are interested, because we need change in this city. So hopefully we'll be able to put some things up before we leave
The
today.
website is one of the best ways to check out the website at
Okay.
toddphelpsfораustin.com. toddphelpsfораustin.com. That way you can donate to the campaign there.
There we go. There we go, yeah.
'Cause,
Oh, we can't talk about money.
oh,
But
I'll be like the ring girl. Let me see.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do like
There you go. Hey, Mama, take a little.
okay,
I like it.
yes.
Where's Harry?
Well,
I didn't ring a sign.
While we're tossing out
Mm-hmm.
websites,
Mm-hmm.
vote yes on propk.com
Yes.
and let us vote.org for Proposition J.
Okay.
Please go to those sites, take a little time,
Mm-hmm.
educate yourself, get some information on the pros and cons. At least take a little time to know what you're voting on, because these are a lot more critical than you might think. They're on the bottom of the ballot, but they're top and important.
Come on. Go down to the bottom of the ballot and find J and K.
But you have to go down to the bottom of the ballot to vote for mayor. You just can't do straight ticket. Well, you can do
That's
straight ticket, but you gotta go to the bottom.
Go down to the bottom
The fields.
and find Todd's name. Go
That's
down.
important. That's
Mary?
important, Todd.
What is Jay concerned? What is Jay?
Jay, in just a sentence or so, is voting on your right to vote on the next land development code rewrite.
Awesome.
We don't know when that's coming or what it will be, but you might want to reserve your right to vote on it. And K is voting on the city being required to utilize an outside auditor for an efficiency audit. Make sure that our money's being
Well,
effectively
We
and
could probably find $400 million worth of money that we could be saving and using towards other resources like roads.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I think that's probably not an unreasonable estimate.
That's 10%.
That's
and they've found that in other cities with similar
Yes,
audits.
they have.
Mm.
Hey,
All
Bob.
right, and the other thing is, I know that there's money that previously we voted, not me, but the city of Austin people have voted on to spend money like on certain projects, and those certain projects have never happened.
Mm-hmm.
$50 million worth of undeveloped affordable housing, yeah.
Yeah, and there was also like a police substation or something. I remember it had something to do with law enforcement a while back, like over on the east side somewhere, like a little substation or something. But I don't know. But anyways, there's money that had been voted on to be spent for these projects, and they're also being spent on other things. So the project is dead, but like it's like 8,
What you
9,
do with
10
the money?
years ago that you people voted this stuff in, and it hasn't been done. And they've used the money on something else.
That's the
How
bond.
often does that actually happen in city politics?
Every day.
There you go. That's a good question. How often does money get voted on for these bonds, and yet it never happens, and it gets diverted to something
They're
else?
asking for another close to $1 billion right now, and there's 750 in non-issued, and there's almost about $1.5 billion of GO bonds out, but there's 758 of non-issued, and they're asking for another $1 billion.
And then I also
Which ranks
heard
number
on
7
one of the
on the list.
commercials today I don't know if it's hidden in K or it's hidden in J, but it said it was help with affordable housing. Now, does K have anything to do with affordable housing?
That was,
No, it was tucked. It said vote for this proposition because it was blah blah blah, and also to help affordable housing.
They squirreled the
A?
language on
Okay.
K to make people afraid of it. K's a good thing. You want to vote yes on K, but they're saying, oh, it'll cost $12 million. But that's $12 million. That's say
Well, of
400.
course they don't want it because that's money that they can't put
Probably
their own
won't cost
money.
that though.
Actually, and I think I can give you a fairly accurate ballpark because I've researched many of them for years now. A city this size, for the scope of the work that the ordinance actually requires, you're probably looking at something, if the city pays for it, I'll explain that, probably
Well, yeah.
on the order of about 3 or 4 million. Some of these auditing firms will actually work on a contingency. That means they work for free and they get paid out of whatever the city saves. There's no upfront cost.
Ooh.
And I just gotta believe that an efficient city of this size wants to make sure that they can save money where it's available. It's a K and J are
The
both.
people do. It's just the mayor doesn't want people to see what he's
He's leading the pack.
Well, he can lead
And I
the
don't
pack,
mean
right?
pack as in a
Hey, do you think you could
Yeah.
step into
pack
my
as in a
fit
group
bed?
of opposition.
Well, he need to lead the pack on out the city, right on out the city limits.
well, yeah, just make it, sir. Next week, we have pretty much an open show. First day of early voting. Hope you both can come down. Matt McCuviak will be here for at least a little while. Ed's invited, of course, if he can cut away from his.
I'll be
At the
working the
polls.
early voting locations, but may try to run down and grab a bite to eat.
Gavino will be working at them too. I used to work at them some. I used to work at the substation. They couldn't do all the working around and all. Well,
You have any announcements?
yeah, that's next week will be that. And like you say, I am working on the homeless bill.
Okay.
But we'll probably have a copy to. Go ahead, y'all. You said you got about 2-3 minutes.
I was just gonna say, you're talking about next week's show. Next Monday is, of
22nd.
course, the first day of early
First day of
voting,
early voting.
and we want to encourage people to vote early.
It's going to have pizza provided by Jerry Teal, who had to go back and do some paperwork, or he'd have been here. It's going to be open up. Just come on in and do a little speech. Like it once, come in give just a few minutes or stay the whole show, anything you want. And we are glad Mr. Phillips can make it down here with it.
Thank you very much. Yeah. It's fun.
And we're glad you're running.
It's the same, but because I want to clean this one, it's so
Oh.
dirty, and I don't want to put up water.
You got 3 minutes, all right? No.
Terrible Austin traffic, yes.
I got it from the city of Austin since I signed up for some of their that average bill thing. Let me
Oh,
see.
they haven't got our electric bill?
Let me see your microphone. They're gonna have a thing called Community Connections, and that is going to be on. It says join us for a family resource fair. They're gonna have local vendors providing information about social services in our community, along with on-site health screenings. Bring your resume, job opportunities, blah blah blah. Discover ways to lower your monthly utility, blah blah blah. Enjoy free food, prizes, and activities for the kids. It's going to be Saturday, October 20th, between 11:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. at Travis High School at 1211 Old Torf Street. That's at Old Torf and I-35 on the west side of the freeway. And anyways, it's called Community Connections with Austin Energy. And anyways, you can go down there, and the social services might be interesting for a lot of people, because it's that time of year. A lot of people need some more help with the on-site health screenings and everything. That's good. You always check your cholesterol and, your sugars and everything, and, that's always handy to have. And, about the city job opportunities, a lot of people need jobs.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, we got about 35 seconds. It's good to be here. Get out and vote. You don't have to work in any of these districts, and you can still volunteer for their campaign. So you have to help the candidate you like. They do need help. They can all put you to work for something.
Unseat Adler. Unseat Adler.
Unseat Adler.
Adler.